That's right, guys, we are back at it with the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild location series. Now, you guys have been really showing this series love, and lots of you guys have really enjoyed it, and you guys have given me lots of examples of cool places in the game that I still haven't yet seen all the way through. So this video is really going to be focused on the places and areas that you guys have commented down below on the last two videos, and this is pretty much the fans video, what you guys chose, and some places that you guys thought would be really cool to mention in the video. So, without further ado, we are going to the nether top 7 The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild locations that you may have missed along your completion of the game. So let's get right on to it. For number 7, we have the ORDOR Quarry, or the Spring of Power. So the Spring of Power obviously homes one of the shrines, and it's not that hard to find. But the thing with this is you may not have went to the Spring of Power the right way. Now there's a little tunnel, a little entrance, but you may have went in from the top, which is an easier way since it's open at the very roof of it. So, one thing you may have missed was the ORDOR Quarry, and the quarry homes a lot of old dead trees, some rocks and stuff, but it's full of Guardian Sky Watchers, and they are everywhere. I mean, they're looking for you, they're searching you down, and you can kind of go through this area trying to dodge them or even take them on to get unique materials. Plus, it's cool to see how the Spring of Power aged over the years after the events of Skyward Sword. For number 6, we have LANAYRU Wetlands, and you might wonder why this is so unique, but I think it's cool because it's a different biome. Obviously, other people thought it was sweet too because it has just a different feel than everywhere else on the map. It's just a thin layer of water covering this huge terrain of land, and it just works really cool. There's a lot of enemies around, there's even a Hinox, and there's a lot of stuff to do on the mountain right beside the tower. And the wetlands is a cool drawback to some of the past Zelda games in this series, naming some of the islands after some of the unique characters from the past, such as Linebeck and Gaponga Islands from The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass and Link's Awakening, respectively. What's really cool is this could even be the receding waters from the events of Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, or the receding waters from the swamps from The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. It's really unique. Lake Tenok and Lake Verona are actually two separate lakes that are separated by a bridge, but what makes this place so cool is that it's actually at the base of the mountain volcano, and it has special powers. But for one, you'll go through this giant cave to get to the bottom of the lake, and it's really cool how the cave has like lights up and there's bats flying around, and it puts you in this vibe. You can ride your motorcycle, your Master Cycle Zero down, and it just feels great. But what makes these springs so good, it's almost like the hot springs in past Zelda games where these waters actually heal you. If you stand in it long enough, you'll get healed slowly, and it's just a cool place that you may not have ever came across. Number 4, we have the Ancient Tree Stump, and why is this called the Ancient Tree Stump? Now, obviously the game doesn't ever tell us exactly what it is or what it means, but we can kind of figure out from past Zelda games what this might be, and many people have cracked it down to be potentially the Deku Tree from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Now, if that's the case, that is just purely amazing, but also sad because now it's just a stump. It's no longer a giant great tree. It's just, you know, the remains of what it used to be. But what makes this place so cool is that there's a very narrow path swarming with monsters guarding this tree, and at the very middle of the tree is a giant flame blade, and it is absolutely weird and just crazy how there's so many enemies guarding this thing like it's some type of ritual sanctum or something. So, my bet is it is the Deku Tree from the Ocarina of Time, but we'll never know, and we're only left to speculate. MAPLA Point is a weird part of the map because it changes terrain really quickly. It may start off as a giant snowy mountain at the very top, but the more you snowboard or just simply walk down the mountain, it turns into a small little island theme, and it's really cool. It's unique because the rock formation kind of forms a claw over this little beach area, and in the middle of the beach area there's waterfalls and obviously a little lake, and it looks really nice and calm. But what you don't realize at first is that the giant massive rock in the middle of the lake is actually a step talus, and when you land on him he actually awakens and you can battle him, and it's just a really cool little small area that, you know, resembles another part of the beach. You also get a really nice view of Eventide Island across the ocean. Number 2 on our list is the Hyrule Castle Library. So here you can either go in from the inside or, like I did, the outside where the giant hole is, and you can see this massive library, and it's really cool to intake because not too many Zelda games do you actually get to go in the castle. So the list to come are going to have lots of places that are cool within the castle of Hyrule. But for this one, we're looking at the library and the library only. What makes this place so cool is that all of these books are still there. They're intact. Even though they're laying around everywhere and just in ruins, they're there, you know, and it's really cool to see that Hyrule Castle was actually a castle with, you know, many different rooms with many different purposes. Not just, you know, they didn't just take this castle and slap it together and say, look, you know, here's some couple rooms, the dining room, and we're done. But, you know, this flushes out the castle more, and it's really cool to see that there's actually secret passageways within this library. You can actually move the metal book casing out of the way and go inside these rooms, and in one of the rooms you can go inside, there's actually a special weapon for you inside. So for this last location, I actually made 3 locations into one because each location is a piece to the whole puzzle. So pretty much we have the great skeletons of the ELDIN, HEBRA, and GERUDO regions. These great skeletons turn out to be the great leviathans that traveled the land of Hyrule years and years ago. These great leviathans could actually harken back to past series where these leviathans actually did traverse the land in the middle of the gameplay, such as Levias from The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Lord Jaboon Jaboon, or even the Great Windfish. So this is really cool to put this in context and think of, you know, past leviathans actually carried on throughout life this entire time but eventually died off. But we just don't know which ones lasted this long and which ones the bones match up to. The closest comparison I was able to make was the bones from the ELDIN region because they look very, very similar if you played Skyward Sword. They look exactly like Levias. The top of the skeleton even has the flat platform that Levias has on top of his head, which Link jumps off to fight the parasite on. And it's just very one-in-one, and it looks very similar. So I don't really know if this is Levias for sure, but it definitely looks like him, or maybe even a descendant of him was there. So since Skyward Sword is the very first origin story of The Legend of Zelda, Levias would be the very first Leviathan in the Legend of Zelda series, which would mean if he lasted this long, it's incredible. Since the very start of the Zelda franchise all the way to now, the very end, that's incredible. And the fact that the Zelda team put this in there, that's awesome. The other 2 Leviathan, on the other hand, just look like straight whales, and that could easily reference the Windfish or even Lord Jaboon Jaboon, so nothing really big there, but the ELDIN one in particular is the one that caught my attention from the very beginning going up and finding this, and I could not keep from visiting this again, and this had to be my number 1 because it is one of the most startling findings you will find when you first start playing this game and you see that. It really blows your mind when you figure out what the heck is this. What's up guys, Landon here, and thank you guys a lot for your comments on the last couple of videos. You guys gave me some really cool locations to point out in this video, and I like a lot of them, man. I mean, I really came accustomed to some of these, and even though I knew where the Leviathans were, it was cool to revisit them and just see their mass all over the land. It was amazing. But thank you guys a lot, and for those of you that want to see this video continue on, it's unbelievable that we even made it this far. But if you want a 4th installment, and maybe we can find some more places, let me know in the comments any really cool places that you see hidden, because you guys have gave me a couple of good ones so far. And I really appreciate the help, guys. It's been amazing. So if you guys have any other places in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that you feel is cool and hidden, let me know in the comments. Try to stay away from shrines and stuff at the moment. We're trying to look at small places that Nintendo may have hidden from us that is actually really cool and kind of gives that nostalgia feel to us. So thank you guys a lot. And if you have not yet, please feel free to subscribe and like the video if you're new. And ring that bell so that you can stay up to date on notifications whenever I post or put up new things. Thank you guys, and I'll see you then.